Alright guys, Papa Pepper down on the homestead today. Working on a variety of things. What you see behind me is the incredible mess that I call my garden in progress. A lot of what we're going to try to do is grow as much food as we possibly can on our land. That'll just cut our cost as much as we possibly can. A lot of work, especially up front, but nice thing is I'm dealing with a lot of perennials. I'm just going to give you guys a little tour. If you notice, my life can get kind of haphazard. I'm sure this looks absolutely insane to any of you guys who don't have a 5-gallon bucket collection. We've got hundreds more. Anyway, so here's where we divide the pasture, which has still got some stuff in it, which we're also building up, to the garden. And I'm going to work on the perimeter fence down this edge of the property. So far it comes this far, which is pretty good. But along this side, we're just running some garlic for now. Some mulberry trees we're going to let grow up a bit, and then some nice yellow raspberries that we got from Shalom Acres. Here we've got a pile of gooseberries, transitioning into some persimmons. That's what this tree here is. A couple little ones, trying to graft khaki variety from haphazard H-stead into there. Here we've got a mixture. I'm going to try to do mulberries just as a hedge. This is some lemon balm, the green stuff. In between the lemon balm is going to be some mulberries. I'm going to kind of try to just prune as a hedge, see how that goes. I want something we'll be able to pick anyway, so even though this can turn into a very large tree, not exactly something we necessarily need to be doing. Here's where I got my thornless blackberries in. I also got cabbage going right now in here. Not going to be completely out in the sun this way for the cabbage, but also until the blackberries take off, which will be another year or so, we've got plenty of room to grow something else. A lot of this is just wild plums and apples, service berries, witch hazels, just a variety of things that'll eventually be in the garden. Rhubarb's going there. Got a batch of strawberries from Shalom Acres there. Up there I've got some aronia and currants around it. I think those ones are white. Here's some black currants with tomatoes in between them now because it'll take a year or two for them to really bush out. Again, got some different grapes I got to be getting in. That one there, it's kind of like a gooseberry. I forget the actual name of it at the moment. I'm sure it'll come to me. Elderberries, peaches, other things I got to get going in. So, heading back this way, it's just a matter of, you guys should have seen this last year because this thing was a big thicket. It was thick, it was rough. We ran some hogs and goats through this together and really just cleared it out. Incredibly, these are my cattle panels, bent over. I'm running Chinese red noodle beans from Baker Creek here, which I'm excited about. This one I'll plant something around, but just an apricot tree. I'm gonna pretty much lollipop, keep a nice small one there. Here's this big thing I built. This year we're going to run some snake gourds up this side, and I think we're doing birdhouse on the other one. There's an example of the birdhouse gourd. We'll see if anyone wants to move into the garden this year. But that one's hooked up with some sheep wool, and I got the hole in it there. Here's where I've buried some bones for some muscadine grapes. The muscadine grapes were also from Shalom Acres. So there's one in the middle there, one in the middle there, one in the middle there. That there is apricots and a red currant. Tomatoes growing at the edge of these right now. And then basil next to the tomatoes. Good companions there. And there's Swiss chard planted in there too because it's going to take a while for these grapes to really grow up and become big. When they do, I'll run them back and forth on a little thing with each of them. I've got 2 different varieties here, which is going to be good for the muscadines. And if you notice too, I've just got it heavily mulched in between the garden areas. Not far from here up the hill, a lot of Bermuda grass. Just don't really want to deal with any weeds. So all this stuff that can just retain moisture and help build up the soil, whether it's just in the walking path or in the actual raised beds, either way. I'm excited. I just starting from scratch here, but a lot of the dirt's just rock and clay, so I've got to amend the soil and do things with that. Here's just a long line of brown turkey figs. If they get established, we're just going to pretty much use this as a propagation site. I'll put some other ones more spaced out elsewhere. And then I'm going to run a little herb garden in the front for Mama Pepper. Just some catnip at each end. One of my favorite herbal teas includes catnip. But I've got some sage, some savory, some other stuff I want to put in. Also going to run an herb garden. Started building it up there. But in front of here with the hops running up into the tree into a wire there on a chain and going that way. Here's my path into the garden from the house site where I can take a truck. I still got to take down that tree the rest of the way. Had to cut it out to get Bluer Than Green's truck and trailer through. Mine fit fine. His was bigger. That was on the list to get rid of anyway. So time came to at least move it out of the way. And then up here, some pretty cool things. I got some green corn from Marianne West. We got that growing up over here in the corner. As you can see, all those little sprouts, mostly green corn. There's also some Austrian winter pea in there. Some sort of like walking onion, and then lemon balm that Monster Truck and I propagated last year. In the corner, stingy nettle, my favorite plants. And then I think some horseradish up here in a couple spots peeking through. So I might run an actual rock wall here between the pasture and the garden. Might use some of these for it, which is just the utility panels. They've got pretty much a 4x4 hole on them. And would work good. We'll see. But just kind of a little privacy fence there between us and the road. And then let it all kind of fill in from here. Got a lot of plants heading all the way back into this area, all the way back into that area. Some of it's going to be phasing out some of the existing forest with the plants, the trees, the bushes, the shrubs, the vines, the ground cover. Removing things like, honey locust and poison ivy and greenbrier, and replacing it with things that are edible, medicinal, serve more of a purpose in our life. But it's shaping up, guys. This is a lot of work. Got a long way to go. A lot of trees to get in. If you guys saw what's it called? Armadillo Creek and Freedom Point just picked up a whole load of another 1,000 trees for me. So obviously, sometimes I may bite off more than I can chew. Recently heard if you don't want a hard life, work hard. So I'm trying to do a lot of work up front here to get a return on that investment for years to come. Definitely want to look into plant propagation as a home-based business, because a lot of people are enjoying this lifestyle or starting to leave the cities, try to reconnect to the actual world, the earth, the dirt, get out of the concrete jungle, grow some of their own food, something they can trust, that type of stuff. So I was thinking, well, if I can kind of become like a one-stop shop for some of these people looking for things, rather than going to the garden center and spending 40, 50, 60 bucks on one plant, I could potentially give people a whole pile of a variety of plants for that same price, and just enjoy the process with the family. So anyway, if you saw this a year ago, this was rough. Very rough land, very hard to walk through. A lot of poison ivy, a lot of blackberries, a lot of things, but used a couple animals, like I said, in some concentrated grazing to just strip it, to pretty much remove it to a bare earth, and I'll start building it back up from there, and we'll see what we can do. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Pop out.